Loving pranams at the lotus feet of our most beloved Bhagawan. By Swami's grace, we continue the exploration of the beauty and the grandeur of the Bharatiya culture, the Indian culture. Taking Sathya Sai Vahini, which Swami initially referred to as the Bharatiya Paramartha Vahini, as the basis. We move on to the chapter which is titled The Miracle of Miracles. Now, what's the miracle of miracles? Bhagawan says the greatest miracle of miracles is that all beings, all of us included, who actually are an aspect of the divine, not just an aspect but a reflection of the divine, the very image of the divine, which is God itself, consider ourselves to be the limited body. We get entangled in the belief that we are the limited body-mind complex, and that is what Bhagawan refers to as the miracle of miracles. What is the solution to this? The solution to this is, of course, knowing our real self. And once we know our real self, not just in intellectual terms, but once it becomes a real experience, then we are freed from the cycle of birth and death, which is inevitable as long as we think we are the body and the mind. Bhagavan would often talk about this verse, Purnamada Purnamidam Purnad Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Avashishyate. Purnamada Purnamidam. This is also complete or whole. This and what came from it is also complete and whole. Purnamadam Purnamidam. This is also complete, that is also complete. Purnad Purnamudachyate. From the whole or the complete arises something which is also complete. Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Avashishyate. From a Purnam has come another Purnam. From something which is complete has come another thing which is complete, but yet both remain complete. Now, how is that possible? For example, let's say there's a heap of sugar, and from that heap of sugar you create another heap of sugar. Now, the first heap of sugar and the second heap of sugar is incomplete, isn't it? But then there's a beautiful analogy of a lamp. Just think of a lamp with a flame in it. Now, from a lamp, you actually light another flame. From that flame, you light another flame. Now, can you now say that the first flame is diminished or incomplete in any way? No. Similarly, the second is also complete. So that's an example of Purnamada Purnamidam. Purnad Purnamudachyate. From the complete flame of the first lamp comes the complete flame of the second lamp. And even though the second has come from the first still remains complete and the second is also complete. So that's definitely possible. So Bhagavan says that our reality is we are reflections of himself, a reflection of God itself. In fact, every discourse Bhagavan would start with what? Divyatma Swarupulara, Prema Swarupulara, embodiments of the divine Atma, embodiments of love, and love is nothing but God. So, right from the beginning, every single discourse, Bhagavan always drove home the point that our reality is not the body or the mind. Our reality is something beyond the body and the mind. But being something beyond the body and the mind, but still getting entangled in the belief that we are the body and the mind, that is what Bhagavan refers to as the greatest miracle of miracles. And the entire effort of the Bharatiya culture, the essence of the Bharatiya culture, is to realize through a course of sadhana that our reality is beyond the body and the mind. And that is the goal of the Bharatiya culture. So if you ask a true Bharatiya what the goal of life is, the Bharatiya would say that the true goal of life is to be a mumukshu. Mumukshu is one who aspires for self-realization, for God realization. In other words, who aspires to discover one's real self. Everything else which the Bharatiya does is incidental. Even the Bharatiya, like anybody else, would earn a living, would lead a family life, would be a father, would be a mother, would be a sister, would be a brother, would be a friend, would do everything else, would follow material pursuits too. But all that is incidental, and the main purpose or a role is to be a mumukshu. And that is what the Bharatiya culture always teaches us. And this, Bhagawan says, is the most important aspect of the Bharatiya culture. In fact, Bhagawan says that we are reflections of God. We are the very image of God. He says the rishis, that's what they taught us. In fact, he says, some of us consider ourselves sinners. He says it's a sin to consider yourself a sinner. In fact, there's an experience which one of Bhagawan's students narrated. He was chanting a particular verse from one of the scriptures which says, Papoham papakarmaham papatma papasambhavam trahimam kripaya deva sharanagata vatsala. Papoham, I am sin. Papakarmaham, I have committed sinful deeds. Papatma papasambhavam, I am the very embodiment of sin, and I was born because of sin. And thus, Trahimam kripaya deva sharanagata vatsala. Thus, O Lord, who protects the ones who surrender, please protect me. Now Bhagavan heard this and said, what are you saying? It's wrong to say papoham papa karmaham, and Swami changes it to praptoham prapta karmaham praptatma prapta sambhavam trahimam kripaya deva sharanagata vatsala. Praptoham, I'm somebody who is blessed, who has got prapta. Because that's why we've got a human body. In fact, the Bharatiya culture says there are three things which are necessary. One, for self-realization. One of them is a human body, manushyatvam. Second is mumukshatvam, the desire for self-realization, the wisdom to take self-realization as the goal in life. And the third is Mahapurusha Samshaya, which is the company of the holy. It's Bhagavan's grace that we have been given a human body. It's His grace that we have the company of not just the holy, but we've had the company of Bhagavan Himself. And we have an opportunity to be part of the organization which is named after Him, the Sri Sathya Sai Seva organization, and which has been created and founded by Him, and to do a sadhana and seva under His guidance. The only thing that we have to aspire for is to bless us with mumukshatva, the deep desire and the wisdom to understand that the only goal of life is to realize our true self, the fact that we are not the body and the mind, and that is the very foundation of the Bharatiya culture. By Swami's grace, we'll explore the wonderful facets of the Bharatiya culture in the subsequent episodes. Jai Sai Ram.